We have plenty to get to tonight, but we start in Pine Bluff, where Saracen has officially opened its new 14-story hotel. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor.
And I'm Brooke Buckner in for Rolly Hoyt because he is at the hotel currently and joins us live ahead of an exciting weekend. Rolly, you got to look inside. How is it?
Of this slot machine. Let's see if the money starts pouring out. Hey guys, we are down here at the Saracen. So glad to hear from you. You know, we've gotten a chance to walk around and there's really the sense that there is an infusion of Las Vegas. It goes along with the slogan that they have for their commercials that it's Vegas, Arkansas style. But to be like Vegas, you need three things. You need a casino. Well, there's a big one just off to my left, but you need a hotel and you need a show stage. Well, that's now the three diamonds up there on the front of that slot machine. Let's see if the money starts to pour out. The hotel now has 317 rooms, and walking around it with Chief Marketing Officer Carlton Safa today, he tells us that fully a third of them are suites of some kind. There is 1 million square feet now across the entire resort, and $600 million is the amount of investment that's gone into making this expansion. It's the largest in Arkansas history. The event center is the other piece to that puzzle. It's got space for 1,600 spectators, and it is, of course, we've been hearing for weeks about the big acts that are all set to come through town now that they are fully up and running. But importantly, Saracen now has more than 700 employees, and talking to Safa, he says that almost all of them are from right here in Jefferson County. That's something that a casino promises to a city when they get permission to build. Well, now there's 250 more jobs coming online now that this hotel is up and running, and they tell us it is fully booked for their first big weekend. We are live in Pine Bluff. Rolly Hoyt, THV 11 News.
All right, Rolly, thank you. The city of Little Rock is planning long-awaited upgrades to the River Market area with a pivotal vote set for next Tuesday's board meeting.
The proposal will use a mix of existing funds and future bonds to pay a St. Louis-based company $20 million to renovate the Oppenheimer Market Hall.
Downtown is the heart of your city. Anywhere you go, if you don't have a safe, vibrant downtown, you don't have a city. And that's what we're trying to make.
The upgrades are projected to cost $25 million in total, with the developers contributing the other $5 million. If next Tuesday's proposal is approved, the city will then receive a final cost from the company.
All right, well, let's bring in meteorologist Nathan Scott now for more on the weather. We've already said it enough. It's still hot out there.
Yeah, I mean, we're enjoying the sunshine and especially that breeze, but when is it going to cool down? Just a little?
Brooke and Jurnee, I do have a cool down in my 7-day forecast, but you have to wait. You got to be patient. Tomorrow, it's still going to be hot and humid, but I think next week, really nice improvement is headed in our direction. Out there right now, the temperatures are still toasty, pretty much into the upper 80s to low 90s. We have that mixture of sun and clouds. And yes, with the humidity, it does feel like 99 in the capital city. Feels like 103 in Arkadelphia. Feels like 110. That's the hot spot in the natural state. That wind does help take the edge off the heat, and that wind will be around once again tomorrow from the south-southwest about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Nothing really showing up on radar, although there could be a stray shower you see potentially into Nevada County. So most locations will stay dry out there through the course of the evening. But look what happens for tomorrow evening. A line of showers and thunderstorms developing just off to our northwest. And this will dive its way down in central Arkansas tomorrow night and throughout the day on Friday. So our chance of showers and thunderstorms will be going up. Tomorrow, though, we're dry, hot and humid. Highs back up into the low to mid 90s. I'll have more on that thunderstorm potential on Friday, which does feature, there could be some strong, possibly severe thunderstorms for parts of the state. More on that coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Well, the fight over a law aimed at regulating materials deemed harmful to minors is headed back to court with a hearing over Arkansas's Act 372 scheduled for tomorrow.
A federal judge previously struck down key parts of the law, ruling they violated the First and 14th Amendment, but now a federal appeals court will decide whether that ruling should stand. Meanwhile, a new report from the National Assessment of Educational Progress shows math scores across the country are still below where they were more than a decade ago, specifically with 9 and 13-year-olds.
The report finds little improvement for those 13-year-olds, with some of the lowest scores matching students in the early 70s. Education officials point to problems beyond COVID learning loss.
That has researchers warning of long-term impacts, including lower lifetime earnings. And a report by the Annie E. Casey Foundation shows Arkansas has moved up in their national child well-being rankings.
However, the natural state still ranks 43rd. The biggest boost came from the economy, which now ranks 33rd. Education slipped from 36th to 40th, and health also fell one spot to 48th. A link to the study can be found on our website. That's thv11.com.
Developing in Conway, Local 4016, the city's Firefighters Association, is back again, continuing the fight for better pay. We've followed this story since last year, and with little change, some union members say they're being pushed to the limit. Tonight, THV11's Maya Ellison breaks down the staffing shortage and how it could affect public safety.
Our general fund is not near as big as North Little Rock's general fund. I have said if we can get close, I think we could keep our firefighters.
That was Conway Fire Chief Mike Winter during last year's budget meeting, raising concerns about staffing shortages echoed by the city's firefighters union. Now, earlier this year, voters approved a sales tax aimed at funding capital improvements, something union leaders say could also support recruitment and retention.
The citizens of Conway supported us in the election and passed a tax for our capital tax for our capital equipment purchases. The city said could be available to help with the recruitment, pay retention for the rest of the fire department.
But Desmond Lewis, president of Conway Firefighters Association Local 4016, says they've seen little change.
Just for recruitment and retention and competitive pay, it's been very, very minimal, and we haven't seen anything for the future.
The union recently took those concerns to social media, pointing to ongoing struggles with staffing and pay.
Compared to other departments of similar size, we're pretty close to $20,000 difference. It would just only make sense for these young guys to either get their training here and then move to other departments where they're going to make more money, or just start off at other departments.
I reached out to city officials who declined to comment, but Ward 1 Councilman Andy Hawkins says interest in the department is still strong.
The next testing that they had scheduled, there were over 100 people scheduled to take the test.
Yeah, we might have 100 show up or 100 apply, then we end up with 50 that maybe show up for the test, and then you cut the people that don't pass the test. We end up with a very small hiring pool.
A concern firefighters say translates to fewer people on the trucks.
We still have 2 personnel on rigs most of the time. That's not safe.
They say until pay and staffing improve, the problem won't go away.
We're not asking for anything special. We just want to be on a level playing field with other departments.
In Conway, Maya Ellison, THV11 News.
Thank you, Maya. The union also points to early retirements as a growing challenge and says it will continue pushing for competitive pay. Again, we have reached out to the city for comment, and we will update you when we hear back.
Well, tonight we're continuing to cover data centers. This after a group of protesters gathered outside of a church where Google held a private meeting just a few hours ago. Protesters say residents have been shut out of key discussions surrounding the projects and want more transparency from both Google and local leaders because of the effects data centers have on nearby communities and the environment.
They're not telling the truth about the impact that it has on animals, on people, the decibels of the noise and everything else. And it's a lie, you know, and they don't care where they put them. They don't care who they hurt. It's all about corporate greed.
Well, this all comes just a day after Pulaski County and Fayetteville leaders spoke on ways to regulate them. Here in Pulaski County, the Quorum Court voted to postpone a moratorium until next month. And in Fayetteville, the city discussed regulations, but right now, the city still has no official plan to take any action.
Still to come here at 6, how one Arkansas woman is turning heartbreak into life-saving missions in our Red, White, and You series.
We have another weather impact alert on your Thursday just because intense heat is still in the forecast as the numbers climb up into the low 90s. With the humidity, it'll feel more like 100, maybe as high as 105 during the peak heating of the day in some locations. But then the heat begins to back off. Temperatures close to 90 with a good chance of spotty showers and thunderstorms on Friday. And the chance continues into the weekend. I'll have a look at future radar and talk about how much rain we could see over the next 7 days coming up.